Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Camp Blood Media. My name is Josh, and today I'll be doing an early review for Dark Coast's Camp Twilight. Somebody new has an axe to grind. Camp Twilight stars Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp, Dave Sheridan from Scary Movie and Ghost World, and Vernon Wells from Commando, Mad Max 2, and Weird Science. I was actually sent an early copy of this movie to review. I literally couldn't believe it. My head was basically about to explode, and I was like going to pass out when it happened. But I'm super excited to get into this movie, guys, so let's get started. So the movie opens with a newscast where it talks about it being the 30th anniversary since the previous killings at Camp Twilight. The lady who's the newscaster is talking to somebody who runs these multiple parks, one of them including Camp Twilight, and she's basically grilling him, asking him, do you really think it's safe to be reopening this park after all of the murders that happened 30 years ago and then the series of copycat killings that took place, I guess, following those murders? Of course, the guy, because he wants people to go to the park, he's saying, oh yeah, everything's fine, nothing's wrong. Just, that happened a long time ago, everything's good now, we've refurbished the park and things are nicer now and there's been no killings and no trouble and oh yeah, go to the park, it's all good. And meanwhile she's like, you for real? She's not buying it. Meanwhile, it cuts over to two people who are actually at Camp Twilight, a man and a woman. The woman wants to go swimming and the man wants nothing to do with it really until she takes off her top and decides to go in without him. For some reason, he still decides to stay behind, which isn't usually the kind of thing that happens in a horror movie. Usually once the girl takes off her top, the guy is gone, which in this movie, the guy actually decides to stay behind, which splits them up. So the girl leaves, and you never see what happens to her, presuming that she was drowned or something. But eventually the guy notices that she's been gone for a while, so he gets up and goes to look for her. And when he goes down to the beach, he's not really paying attention to what's going on behind him, and somebody in a black getup with a black mask, face mask on, comes up behind him and cracks him in the back of the head with an axe. They actually did a pretty good job with the kill, because after they take the axe out of his head, he falls down, and you can actually see the axe wound in the back of his head, and there's blood splatter all over the ground. And they did a really good job with the opening kill, I thought. So immediately after that, it jumps forward to the next day, and there's a group of 3, I guess, park rangers. They just found the campsite that belonged to the people who went missing the night before. They don't know that these people are dead yet. Their bodies are gone. There's no evidence left behind. So what it seemed to me is they were investigating the disappearance as a murder. But what it turns out is that Dave Sheridan's character, Bob, is just a kook, and he thinks that they were abducted by aliens. Dave Sheridan's character is a lot like Officer Doofy. I'm pretty sure that's probably why they hired him for the role, and probably what they told him to do is just basically act like yourself from Scary Movie. And he doesn't totally act like that, but there is at one point where he says a line, and it's very similar to a line from Scary Movie. So basically, they make fun of Bob, and then Vernon Wells' character shows up. He's the sheriff. He's basically saying, like, you guys aren't taking this seriously. Like, do you know where the campers are? Like, obviously they weren't abducted by aliens, but they're not here. So where are they? And the sheriff says, like, we need to figure out what's going on here before things start happening all over again at Camp Twilight, because that's the last thing they need. The movie revolves around 6 students who are forced to attend a sleepaway field trip to Camp Twilight after their teacher informs them the only way for them to graduate is to attend the camp to earn the extra credit. So the kids arrived at the camp, and immediately their cell phones, laptops, everything is taken away from them. They're very disgusted over it. They want them all back because they want to be able to talk to their followings and text their friends. But Felissa Rose's character is having none of it, so she takes everything away, which is a good setup for the movie, because if they had their cell phones, you'd constantly be wondering, well, why aren't they calling the police? Why aren't they calling for help? And this movie does away with that immediately. They actually never get the cell phones back or find them at any point during the movie, so they're just completely taken out of play, which is something that I like. There's a lot of characters in this movie. There's the 6 kids. There's Felissa Rose's character, Mr. Turner, the 3 park rangers, the sheriff and his sidekick, As the movie went on, I found myself trying to guess who was doing the killings, because they were doing an okay job of having like certain characters being around other characters so that you're not constantly like, oh, this character's just gone, it's definitely this person. But there is a point in the movie where things are happening and you're like, oh, well, how can this happen if that's happening? And you kind of, it takes what you thought was going on and kind of spins it. Also, no spoilers, but the ending of this movie has a decent twist, which I didn't see coming. I didn't really think about it, but once it happened, I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. I kind of, they set it up a little bit, but really, unless you were thinking about it the whole time, you really wouldn't have seen it coming. So as the movie goes on, more and more people start dying, and it gets down to our final cast of people. I'll say that the last few kills happen like back to back to back to back to back. So if at the beginning of the movie you find yourself waiting for the kills, you won't be waiting very long, because as it gets towards the halfway point, it's just kill, 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 kill. Like, they definitely don't hold back in killing these characters off. The ending sequence is kind of reminiscent of The Strangers, or I guess the family dinner scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a few characters that are tied up while the killer is talking at them and basically talking about why they're doing what they did and why everybody had to die and stuff. And it definitely gives off a little bit of that going crazy feeling from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you're just caught in this situation and you can't believe it, and your mind is slowly kind of melting from like being in this unbelievable situation. And the actors actually do quite a good job in showing that fear and being caught in that situation. Like, how often do you go on a school trip and end up at the hands of a serial killer, right? So they definitely did a good job picking the younger kids, because I really enjoyed all of them except for Creepy Kevin, but he was supposed to be a shitty character, so they did a good job with him as well. The end of the movie definitely leaves things open for a sequel, which I would definitely watch if they decided to make a sequel to Camp Twilight. It's kind of like a mishmash of Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, and Scream, I would say. I thought the kills were really good, the characters were pretty good. Some of the actors were better than others, like Felissa Rose. Anytime that she was on screen, she totally stood out. She stole the show completely. So I would definitely be glad to see her return. Some of the other characters could probably do without, but as long as she was in the sequel, I would be down to watch it for sure. Really, as long as they made a movie similar to this one, I would totally be down to watch it again. Send it my way. I'll be more than glad to do a review of it. It ends on another newscast talking about things that have happened since the killings that we just saw throughout the movie. And it leads into a nice little ending sequence with another kill, which is really fun. And then the movie ends. I would be surprised if they didn't make a sequel to this. It was a really fun, low-budget horror. Felissa Rose did an amazing job. If they put out a Camp Twilight 2, I would definitely watch it, no question. This movie wasn't like a big summer blockbuster, but it was very much in the vein of an 80s horror movie, which is probably exactly what they were going for. They did a really, really good job of just having it feel like an 80s movie, like with some of the dialogue and some of the kills, and just the overall atmosphere of the movie felt like it could have been really a sequel to a Sleepaway Camp film. So if they decided to do Camp Twilight 2, I would definitely be down for that. I would review it on the channel, no question. The killer in the movie is basically dressed from black head to toe, black sweatpants, black sweater. That's a big black face mask on, which reminded me of the current pandemic, although I think this movie was filmed before any of that went on, so it doesn't really play into that. They mostly use an axe for the kills throughout the movie. They do switch to a machete at one point, and there's a pretty long knife that's like a dagger, but for the most part, the main kill weapon is an axe. My favorite kill was one of the park rangers. He gets axed from behind and then he drops to the ground, and then the killer just starts hacking and hacking and hacking and hacking. You don't necessarily get to see the aftermath of the kill, but just the gushing of the meat as the killer is slamming the axe into them. It made for a pretty visceral kill, so that's pretty much why I like that one. My least favorite kill is probably the girl from the beginning, because she just kind of walks off by herself and then disappears. We never see her again. A close second would be the blonde girl who just dies and we don't get to see it, and we never see what happened to her afterwards. She just kind of opens a door, screams, and that's it. So it wasn't much. I kind of had to pick her as the worst kill because you didn't get to see it. Alright guys, and that's it. My review for Dark Coast Camp Twilight. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. Felissa Rose was a total gem to have back. I really enjoyed her in the Sleepaway Camp movies. I can't believe that PR Tricoast sent me this movie, so thank you so much guys for sending it to me. Anything else you want to send me, I will review it in a heartbeat because I really had a lot of fun. Make sure to check out Camp Twilight November 1st, 2020 on digital. So that's it for the video guys. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. It does a lot for the channel. When you see Camp Twilight, leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I want to know what you thought of Camp Twilight. There'll be a lot more videos coming this month, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching guys. Have a good one.